Hey guys, recently Nintendo the Pokemon Company took me to Nintendo's headquarters in order to have a first look at over 90 minutes of Pokémon Pokopia, the latest Pokémon spin-off coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Pokémon spin-offs so far have covered a variety of genre, from fighting games, to first-person photography games, to battle simulators, to puzzle games, and so much more. But one has been often asked for, and that's the life simulator game. And now, here comes Pokémon Pokopia. Pokémon Pokopia is the latest full-console spin-off game being developed as a joint project between Game Freak, the Pokémon Company and Koei Tecmo. And there's a lot of people wondering what it truly is. Is it akin to Animal Crossing, or is it more like the main development team's prior game, Dragon Quest Builders? And after spending some time with it, the answer is simply both, and also neither. It is most certainly its own new thing, and it is unique. This preview came in two elements. The first part was around an hour where we just played at the start of a game, and the second was a half-hour playthrough of a later save file, but playing together in multiplayer with other people to test the features out. The game starts much like advertised, where you start the game as Ditto, and then you choose your appearance. This is akin to the main series games, and the amount of options you have just at the beginning is quite high. You then get taken into some cave ruins and eventually find Professor Tangrowth and the Pokedex that they found will react to you as it was your Ditto's trainer's Pokedex. This will start your adventure as Tangrowth leads you to the nearby area and explains how previously people and Pokemon lived there, but something has happened and they'd like to bring them back. This part of the game basically acts as a small tutorial, giving you the basics before moving on. You'll befriend a Squirtle, then a Bulbasaur after revitalising a tall grass habitat, and then a Charmander, with each of them giving you tools to continue onwards and make your way into the main area. As has been shown in the Nintendo Direct and the previously released trailer, Ditto can learn some moves from the Pokemon such as Water Gun from Squirtle, Leafage from Bulbasaur that makes tall grass, Cut from Cypher, and Rock Smash from Hitmonchan. These are your key abilities that will help you craft the areas. Rototiller from Drillbur is going to be a very useful one, as it will allow for you to pick up and move plants and foliage around, as well as tilling the soil to allow for you to grow plants. The premise you start with is simple. You build habitats to lure wild Pokemon, and hopefully humans will soon follow, in the hope that you will maybe find your trainer again. The mechanics of the game are a bit simple. You can pick things up with the Y button, set things down, create a workbench to craft with materials, and so much more. Using the Pokemon's moves, it can really help you to craft the area. For example, using Water Gun will make an area in a plush shape be refreshed, but if you let natural water nearby, then it'll cover a wider area. I managed to do this by finding a block nearby that was keeping some water in and using Rock Smash to destroy it, which created a stream down to a fountain, refreshing all the ground along the way. However, you can't just use moves like this continually with no issues. Ditto has got a special PP bar that depletes with the use of each move. Once it's depleted, it will gradually restore, and when you use a move, Ditto will have a strong hunger and will cause you to slow down with each use. PP can also be restored with a Leopard Berry, and you can also buy some upgrades so you lose less PP with each move use. The areas in the game seem enclosed. This isn't one big open world from what we can discern, but some bigger open areas with others separated by gates that require certain level progressions to continue. However, this doesn't mean that the areas are small and not adjustable, and you can check out a mini-map to see the locations of Pokemon dwellings and more. At one point, I decided to see how low I could go, and I used Rock Smash to get to the bottom of the area and basically created a crude tunnel system. I of course then couldn't get out of it, but luckily there's a fast travel option in the menu that allows for us to return to the nearest PC or dwelling. There's also a lot to find in the areas. In addition to finding random items and materials, as well as recipes, I also found random photos of various toys and Pokemon in houses and various journals. These are then stored in a collection for you to check at any time. In the multiplayer portion, we are also able to test out the Dragonite and Lapras transform features. For Dragonite, you simply need to double jump to activate the transformation, which will allow for you to glide quickly through the air. And Lapras is activated with the B button when in water to allow for you to traverse water quickly and basically swim. And these both use PP as well, so they can't be used continuously forever. There are also times where the game would let me know that there was a photo opportunity happening nearby with various Pokemon and suggested opening the camera for it. The camera feature is as in-depth as prior main series Pokemon games, allowing for you to pose, take selfies, use a selfie stick, and adjust other Pokemon's moods with music for the perfect photo. Getting Pokemon to appear is fairly simple. To do it, you simply need to create a special habitat. These vary in their needs, and we saw several during the preview. One was simply having 4 bits of tall grass together, another was having tall grass under a tree, another having tall grass next to a boulder, some requiring flowers, one even required a cardboard box and 2 toys. You can find these out by sometimes finding a sparkling trace of a Pokemon on the overworld. This will then tell you the habitat that is needed and how to create it in order to lure the Pokemon. In each area, the habitats can bring in certain Pokemon. For example, in the first part of the game, using 4 tall grass and a boulder would bring in a Timber, but during the area in the multiplayer portion, it would bring in a Timber or a Machop as common spawns, or a Girder as a rare spawn. This shows that you have a random chance to get certain Pokemon, and if you want to get your Pokedex complete and befriend lots of Pokemon, you will need to make lots of habitats. Once built and the Pokemon has spoken to you, the area surrounding it will count as its habitat and it will stay around there. You can talk to them and they will sometimes offer you challenges or requests such as improving their area or finding another Pokemon or bringing them an item. It varies depending on the Pokemon and area, so there's definitely a lot to do and each Pokemon has got its own personality. There are lots of habitats to find in this game with it having its own habitat dex, so there's definitely a lot more scope to finding the Pokemon than we previously thought. There are also some Pokemon that you'll find in the overworld without habitats that will ask for you to then build one for them. Two examples of this that I remember are a Drifloon, which needed you to build 3 campfires for an updraft, and an Onix that was stuck behind a wall. Once you have a Pokemon in the area, you'll be able to make use of their abilities. Each Pokemon has got certain attributes that allow for you to use them for something. For example, Timber and Gerda have Build, which is necessary for making buildings. Charmander has Fire, which lets it set things such as campfires on fire. Garbodor has Litter and Recycle, which I wasn't able to see, and there are so many more. With these, you can bring the Pokemon when needed to an area and they will help you out. All you need to do is tell them Pokemon to follow you and they will go with you, and these attributes are very much needed for building. You can check the Pokemon's attributes and possible habitats they will spawn in at any time in the in-game Pokedex. I also noticed that Tangrowth's entry in the Pokedex was just for Professor Tangrowth and not a standard Tangrowth, which is very interesting to me. Much like other similar games, building and crafting are a big thing in this game. After helping the Kanto first partner Pokemon, Bulbasaur will point you to a workbench, and from there you have the ability to craft items. However, to do that, you'll need to get the recipe for them. These recipes are obtained by purchasing them at a PC, or found around the island as yellow Pokeballs akin to TMs in the main series games. With the recipe, you will then need to find the relevant materials such as leaves, stones, sand, rocks, lumber, and so forth. These are typically found in the overworld, or some can be obtained by using moves on things such as breaking rocks or cutting down trees. Once the items are on the floor, you can pick them up with the Y button, or if there are a lot of them, you can hold down the Y button and Ditto will begin sucking in all the items in the area. With the items in hand, you can then craft the item that you want. More item recipes will unlock as you play through the game, and you can also craft multiple of a single item at one time as long as you have the required materials. Some recipes are even to create buildings and dwellings, such as fixing the Pokemon Center or giving Ditto a habitat. To do this, you'll need to collect the amount of materials to make the item, and then find Pokemon with the specific attributes to build the site. Once you do that, you can start building. However, this will then take time. Literal time. To build a dwelling for Ditto, once I had brought the materials and brought Timber and Hitmonchan to the area, I was told that it would take 15 minutes in real time before it was done. There was no way to skip this from what I could see, and the game's clock is in real time, matching your Switch 2's date and time, so there's no speed running of this. The amount of customizable items, materials and recipes in the game number in the hundreds. Even though I knew it wouldn't be a small amount, I was shocked by the amount that there is. This means that once you're past the tutorial bit, you can make the areas truly exactly how you want and different from everyone else. Even just wanting to fill the collection up will undoubtedly take so much time to get all the different items. At the PC at the Pokemon Centers, you will find special Pokelife challenges. These challenges require you to complete certain tasks such as building habitats, watering the ground, meeting wild Pokemon and so forth to get various item and rewards. When you complete the challenge, you can go to the PC and redeem them to get life coins, which can then be spent on items at the PC shop. This gives a great way to dive into the game's mechanics, but I do hope it doesn't turn into busy work as the game progresses. There is another system that runs with this, the environment level. To get it to improve, you have to help the wild Pokemon increase their comfort level. This is done by talking to them and asking them what they want. Some may want berries, others may want a toy in their habitat, and so forth. And if you follow their tasks and improve their comfort, they'll then be happier and their environment level will increase. The higher the level, the more tasks you can complete and the more items and recipes that you can buy in the shop. When I went from level 2 to 3 in the first area, it added dozens of possibilities that I can buy, including a dwelling for Ditto, a PP up to boost Ditto's PP, and a handy bag, which is a small item that allows me to put some items on a quick access menu on the main screen whilst I'm playing the game. There are also special challenges each day and special bundles available at the shop each day. And much like the rest of the game, that's a real-time day. This will give you a reason to keep coming back to see if you can get a special deal or complete a special mission. The multiplayer segment of the game was much later. We were given the task of working together to help rebuild the Pokemon Center. We had to go find 8 Pokemon, including some requiring special attributes, including Bulldoze and Build, as well as various materials. As they were scattered around the area, we had to go across to another island to find them, where the Pokemon were just chilling in a small village with real buildings. As we had limited time, rather than use the door, I chose to just destroy the wall of the building to get to the Pokemon. This also brings to the point that there is zero transition between overworld and various buildings that you can create. This experience really worked well, and it was a lot of fun working together to get this done, spotting other Pokemon and helping each other find what we needed and build bridges to get the Pokemon there. I could see a lot of play that in addition to the usual hangouts, could happen in this mode. The one thing I will note is that, like other games of its sort, you are in the host's game, so the progress you make other than Pokédex entries will not carry over. I found many examples of this which caused a bit of a barrier, however. Whenever we found a new wild Pokemon in a habitat that was needed for the Pokemon Center, they demanded to speak to the host player before they would come with us. The PC was also the host player's PC, and only had their PokéLife tasks and shop, so other players would not be able to redeem life coins or spend it to get quick items, which was a little bit frustrating. Although this game was obviously an in-development version, visually the game looked absolutely fantastic. The visuals are colourful and crisp, and the frame rate was absolutely solid for the entirety of the gameplay, even during multiplayer. I do not recall seeing a single frame drop, but we'll of course see how that comes at launch. In terms of the game's presentation, you can very much feel the Game Freak essence here. The menus match some of the structure you come to expect from a main series Pokemon game, and you even had some of the main series icons appear for the Pokemon on the map. The music was also really nice. There are some subtle remixes of Pokemon tracks throughout, and it just fit the vibe of the game so well. It is just so calming. With this game, every person will be able to craft their own experience. While there will be guidelines bringing you to certain elements to match the game's narrative of bringing Pokemon and humans back, the way you can just do things your way and in your own pace is going to bring so much to the experience. After my time with Pokemon Pokopia, I definitely feel that I have barely scratched the surface of the game. There is so much content here, far more than I possibly could have anticipated. This is not a small or short game like some have hypothesised, but a game that we're still going to be discovering elements of months after release. There's so much I can't talk about, and that's just from the first hour. I just can't fathom how much more there is going to be with this game. Following the short experience of Detective Pikachu Returns, it really feels like we're back to the great era of Pokemon spin-offs. And I cannot wait to jump into this game further and see all there is, befriend the Pokemon, finish the Pokedexes, and figure out just how many items, materials, and more there are to find. This is such a fresh take on Pokemon as a series. This could truly be one for the books, and it could possibly be the biggest Pokemon spin-off ever, not just in terms of scope, but in terms of reception. There's just so much to this game, far more than I could possibly have imagined. Roll on March 5th, 2026. I really, really want to play more. And thank you all very much for watching this video, and let me know your thoughts on Pokemon Pokopia down below. This game is so close now, and I just cannot wait to see more. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the Cerebral YouTube channel for more Pokemon videos, and until next time, see ya!